Okay, hi. Oh, we got someone already just coming in. Okay, just as we're getting started, we got someone else coming in. Okay. All right, so hi, Brittany. Okay, so I just started recording, and so you haven't missed anything. Okay, I'm so excited for this particular class, though. This one is my favorite, and I've probably mentioned it in other classes just because I'm so excited to talk about this one. This one was such a game changer for me. So, oh, okay. So, first and foremost, and now we know if this is not your first rodeo with me, then you know when I get real excited, I tend to talk really fast and probably a whole lot. So, I'm going to try my very best to stick to my notes because I do have notes because when I get all excited, sometimes I get jumbled up on what I had said previously and I forget stuff. It's a whole thing. So, I'm going to try my very best to stick to my notes, but fingers crossed. Okay. So, first things first, what is truth testing and tracking? So, truth testing, first things first, is to tell you that I learned this from Caitlin Dianna. She's also, I think, on Facebook as Caitlin Scott, but her YouTube is Caitlin Dianna, and that's her website as well. Um, and I can leave those links either in the chat or in the Facebook group. Okay. And so I just want to make that really clear that that's where I got it from. This is not something that I created. Okay. This was a creation, and I was taught by Caitlin Dianna about this, and it's huge. Okay. So, truth testing and tracking. So, truth testing is, let me get my notes so I don't mess this up. So, truth testing is when you're really looking for the answers from within. Okay. So you're asking and then listening for answers and guidance from your higher self, your intuition, and your body. Okay. And why this is so huge, at least it was for me, anyways, is that it helps you to strengthen your intuition, especially your trust in self. This was so big for learning how to trust yourself and trusting your answers, okay? Which helps build with confidence and your sense of sovereignty, okay? So let me get these notes here really quick. Okay, so this means that you stop looking for answers outside yourself and just blindly buying what you're being sold. Okay. Yes, perfect topic. Yes, right? Okay, so like I said, I get really excited about this. I'm like, ah. So hopefully I keep on track. Okay. Okay, so this is huge. Okay, so just to kind of, I'll get into details here, but just to kind of let you know what this even looks like. Okay. So you would say something like, why it's called truth testing. Okay. So you might say something like, hey, truth, and then ask a question, right? Or, hey, body, and then ask your question. Okay. So just as a quick example, you might say, and we'll do this as a practice as well. But you might say something like, "Hey, truth, is this a contract that I have with somebody?" Okay, or you might say, "Hey, body, what do you need right now?" Okay, so and then you would listen in for that. Okay, so again, I know because I can go too fast, but this will be a practice. I'm just letting you know how I do this typically. Okay, so you would sit comfortably, close your eyes, place your hands over your heart, take a slow, deep breath, right, to get centered. And okay, and then you just let your mind go silent or still. And then you ask your question. Okay, and then you listen or feel for the answer. Okay, so excuse me. So when I say, feel, so this also taps into, so you'll have your physical body, but as I've been saying throughout all of the classes I've done so far, is really tapping into all of your bodies, right? That subtle energy body, but also your physical body. This is about that awareness. So uh, the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, your energy field. Okay. So you're really just being aware at that point. But you don't want to overwhelm yourself or your senses, right? So you can just, even just do like typically this will just happen, or at least once you start to practice and strengthen this muscle, it'll just happen. You won't have to do sort of like a checklist, a mental checklist. But when you're just starting out, that may be something that you have to do, is just kind of go, okay, what am I feeling? Emotionally, what am I feeling physically? What mental thoughts are coming out, maybe, right? Just really kind of checking in and being like, what am I feeling spiritually? Does this feel true? Does this feel false? Okay, and we'll get into that practice, okay? Okay, so we're looking at, so I don't go too fast, okay? Is this, Brittany, so far, is this, you following along? Like I said, we will be doing some practice here, but
Yeah, because I feel like I kind of did something like that like today.
okay.
So like when I meditated, it was kind of like I asked a question, but then I feel like sometimes is that me talking to myself, giving myself the answer I want to hear, or is
Mm-hmm.
that me tapping into my higher self? So that's why I said it's a perfect topic because it just happened kind of like today.
Okay, great, great. And we will get more into that too, and being able to trust the answers you're getting, but also if you feel the need to, as you're strengthening this ability, okay, to use other tools as maybe confirmation or instead of in certain areas, okay, but we'll get to that. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so yeah, so you're really just tapping into, and this is also again going to strengthen that, so that intuition, but also if you're tapping into that spiritual body, that the energy body, you also want to be paying attention to your psychics, like your clairs as well too, because you may get them in different ways. So like I said, you might feel something, so you might get a physical cue in your body, but you also might just feel like that intuitive feeling or that gut feeling, or you might get something else. Like for me, more often than not, I'll hear the answer, right? Because I'm my strongest clair. We have all of the clairs, we have all of the psychic stuff, but some abilities are going to be stronger than others. Okay, and for me, my clairaudient is one of my strongest clairs. And so typically when I ask a question like, hey truth, or hey body, what have you, I'm going to hear the answer. Okay, and it's going to come through like a thought, and it should, and typically it'll just answer, right? Sometimes, like I said, there are situations though where it's a little, the answer can be a little inconclusive, and that's where you might want to use tools, and I'll show you that in a minute. But you might, depending on the strength, your strongest clairs, it might come through that way. So you might even get, a vision. So you have that third eye, right? That's where the clairs, all the clairs come from, is the third eye. Even if you feel it in your belly, it's coming from that third eye, and it's going to travel down. Okay, so you have a strong, clear third eye. Make sure that's expanded. Okay, not overactive, but we want it expanded. Okay, and so you might get either, you might hear it, right? You might get a vision of it. You might get a vision of the answer. So one example could be, you might say, hey body, what do you need right now? And you might get a vision of an apple or a sandwich, right? Or you doing yoga, okay, something like that. So you might even just have that, or you might just have a knowing, right? You have that clairsentience. I just know this is what I need, okay? So really make sure that you're paying attention to all that stuff. Again, we don't want to overload, and it's something that, it's a muscle you will strengthen over time, okay? Okay, so it's just, okay. So like I said, we have, when you're testing, you can have these body cues. So some of those cues can be, so what Caitlin had taught in her her free YouTube series, and I can leave links for that because this is where I first found it. Okay. Now this doesn't typically work for me, but again, this might be yours. This might be the thing that works for you. If you're like, nope, I don't hear, I don't see, feel anything, right? You can go off body cues. So just as an example, and we'll test this in a minute, but just as an example, okay, so you might say, if specifically if it's a yes or no, if it's a yes or no. So maybe you have your hand on your heart, okay, or you could just be standing, right? And but in like a so you have your balance, right? You're standing in a way that you have your balance, but you might say, "Hey, body," or no, we'll say truth. So just as an example, say, "Hey, truth, is my name Liz?" Okay, and you might go forward if it's a yes. You might go backwards if it's a no. Okay, so that could be a physical cue for you that you'll notice. And it's not something that you're trying to move your body, right? I'm just showing as an example. You might notice that your body just naturally leans into yes and moves out for no. Okay. So that's just as an example. Okay. Now we also have some other tools here. So I'll have, maybe it'll show up. I might need to remove my background because the background, for some reason, when I try to show things like cards and stuff, it won't show up. So another tool you can use is oh, see, I might need to turn off that background. So it's my pendulum. So you have a pendulum, and I'll show you. So I have a board here that I made. See, now, see, I got to move that background. It's not going to give me a second to get rid of that background. No background. Okay. So that way we can see it properly. Okay, now you can buy pendulum boards. I just happen to, an artsy person and I love to make things. I specifically love to paint. I really like to put my energy into something. So I have here, so you can see that, yeah. So I have a board. I have more than one. This is, one I made recently. So we have a pendulum board, okay? And then I have my pendulum here. Now I can't really see. It doesn't really do it justice. She's got a bunch of colors and stuff in her. She's a chakra specific. You don't have to use it just for chakras or what have you. This is the one that lit up for me. So, and I'm not surprised because I work with chakras like all of the time. So, and I'll get more into this in a minute. So you have your board here. Okay, and then you can use your pendulum to get those answers when it's and I won't recommend that necessarily when like for all of the time, because I really want you to be able to tap into your knowing and your sovereignty specifically and really strengthening that energy. Okay, so I will only use a board in that, and when I'm truth testing, when the answer is inconclusive, right? If I'm asking, hey, truth or hey, body, and my answer is kind of like, maybe ask again later, I don't know, or my ego's getting in the way, right? And you can't, or Brittany's example there where you're not quite sure if you can trust the answer and you just really want to, have a second opinion, if you will. And so you can use your pendulum, okay, and to ask the question. So you would have it straight in case you don't know how to use a pendulum. Okay. So you would hold it as straight as you can. I might be a little shaky right now because I'm super excited, but you would normally hold it as straight as you can. Okay. Oh, and she's already kind of moving a little bit. She's dancing a little bit. Okay. And you don't even need a board. If it's a yes or no, you can go off of just the pendulum, how it moves. So if it naturally moves in a certain way, so you might say, if it's a yes or no, so I can say, hey, truth, is my name Liz? Okay, and then it might, and I'm going to move it now just to show you, but it might naturally just move on its own and go in a circle and say yes. Okay, and I've programmed it that way. If the answer is yes, it goes in a circle. Okay, if the answer is no, so I might say, hey, truth, is my name Brittany? And it'll start going back and forth. No, right? I programmed it that way. Okay, and if it's a different answer, because sometimes it'll be like, you're kind of good either way, depending on what the answer is. So you might say, hey, body, do you want an apple right now? And it might go side to side and be like, maybe, right? So sometimes you'll get a maybe or a ask again later type of answer. Okay. But it's also part of the tracking, which I don't think I actually explained. So tracking is when you do additional questions to the answer you got. Okay, so this is really good for that too, for tracking, right? So let's see. Do I have something for that? Okay, so this really goes more into the is this even line? Okay. Yeah, so this is let me see. Let's see a question where you might need to track. Okay, so you might say, hey, Truth, is this a contract? And maybe it'll go, yes. Okay, I'm going to move it right now just as an example, but it might, it might say yes. Okay, and then that's when you start to track. Oh, okay, so is it a contract with between me and my mom, right? No. Okay, is it a contract between me and my dad? We're getting close, maybe. Is it a contract between me and my grandfather? Yes. Right. And so you can kind of track it like that. You also have questions such as, let's see, um, do I need to hold on to this? Or is this a lesson I need to learn? Or do I need to clear this? Right? Yes or no type of answers. And then you can continue to track those. Right. So you might even track it back to what's known as the point of origin of something. Okay. So if you find that, okay, I've tracked it, that yes, this is a contract. Yes, this is a pattern in my mother line. Okay, so throughout your mother line, it came through that way. I'm gonna get more into that in I think it's the last lesson, or the last lesson of this series, is the ancestral stuff. So just as an example. So you'll be like, okay, so this comes through my mother line. Okay, so was it my mom? No. Was it my grandma? No. Was it my great grandma? No. Okay. And then you can maybe, and then you can be like, and you don't have to necessarily be like great, 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 but you might say, is this ancestral? Right. And you could even ask, if you're going through that intuition, what is the point of origin? Right. And it might give you a year. Okay. So okay, so it goes back that far. I don't have to be like great, 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 right? You can just be like, oh, okay, so it goes back to, you know, this particular great, 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 grandparent or what have you. Okay. Just as an example. Okay. Now we also have, and I'm probably going to pull a card for later, but you can also, and I'm going to use the Soul's Journey lesson cards by James Van Prague. Okay. For this particular one. So this is what I'm going to be using. Okay. But you can also do truth testing and tracking with cards as well. That's just like an additional tool that if you're like, I don't have a pendulum, or I don't really like to use a pendulum, I don't really trust them or whatever. And you find that maybe, again, you're still strengthening that muscle, or you just need confirmation, right? It's really nice to have cards to be able to pull from, to kind of get either that confirmation or what have you. So depending on your deck, that calls to you. I have a lot of decks. They're all off to the side here. I just picked this one because that's what came through. But so, and this one has are different things that you can use. So okay. Excuse me, let me get some water really quick. Do you have any questions yet, or just before I move on to the practice stuff?
You're good. I got it.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. So just as a practice, if you can, like if you're in a place where this is something that you're comfortable doing this, we just want to do a little practice, okay? Just so you can get a feel for things, okay? No pressure, right? This is a muscle you build. So, but let's just practice. So you can either, if you're standing, just stand straight, okay? But so that you have your balance, okay? Or if you're sitting like I am, so you just sit comfortably, spine straight, shoulders back, but not straining. We're just comfortable. Okay, if you'd like, you can close your eyes, hand over heart. Okay, maybe just take a deep breath to get centered and quiet. Okay. And just let your mind go quiet and still. Okay. And then just for practice, ask, hey, truth, is my name Liz? Now, what did now? So this way, you know, if your name is not Liz, feel for that. You know, did you get what? Did you get a yes or a no? Did you feel it in your body? You know, did you move forward or backward? Okay. We're just trying to get a feel for what yes and no is for us. Okay. And it may change, but you know, you might feel it today and hear it tomorrow, right? Okay. And still, and so we'll do it again. Hey, truth. Um, I am 39. Okay. And we'll try one more. Hey, truth. I have a daughter. Okay. So again, we're just practicing, just getting started, just getting an idea of what it feels like. Okay. Okay, now we're really going to more focus in on the physical part. Okay, and again, you still might get again a vision, you might hear it, but we're going to just tap into the body for a quick moment and just say, "Hey body, what do you need right now?" Okay. Okay. They're a little sassy. Oh my. Okay. So yeah, so we're just tapping into that, and then now if we want, we will be going a little bit deeper in just a minute here. Okay. So I don't know, maybe your higher self is sassy too. We'll see what happens. Okay. Well, we're just kind of feeling it. Okay. And so if you'd like, we can kind of release that for just a moment. We will come back to that, but just kind of release that for a moment. And now this is when we get to the good stuff. This is my favorite part. So you can truth test before I do that. You can truth test anything and everything. Okay. Because like I said before, this is really about having the confidence to trust yourself and to not just buy what you're being sold by outside sources specifically, or even your own programming, right? uh, so the bulk of our programming comes from our very very early childhood, right? Our parents or caregivers, and again, I will be going into this more. I want to say it might be in the ancestral, maybe in the ancestral, or might be, we'll see. But is my point is that we get a lot of we get inundated with information, right? And very very young, we are taught to accept what we're being sold, right? The grown-ups know. The grown-ups always know better, right? And though even though we grow up and become adults ourselves, we still have that programming in us to believe what we're being sold by outside sources, that our own intuition, our own inner knowing is lack, that it can't be trusted, or, and that's where we get a lot of that like low confidence, but, we have that low self-esteem, low self-trust, all of that, like that, when we just feel like we're not confident and independent, we don't have our sovereignty and we're not feeling empowered, right? So that's a lot of that solar plexus chakra. You might find that you're getting a lot of, um, it's either, typically it's going to be underactive in that kind of area. That if you feel like, you've been taught either consciously or unconsciously, subconsciously, right from the outside world, that your inner knowing doesn't know shit, right? That you have to trust what everyone else is saying because they're grown-ups or they're professionals or what have you. Okay. You might find that your solar plexus chakra, so the one that's just above your navel, okay, that's underactive. It might even be a little imbalanced, but chances are it's going to be underactive, which means you're going to have low confidence, low self-worth, low self-esteem, low value, all of that stuff. Doesn't mean you have none, right? It just means low or extremely low in some cases, right? And you find that you're constantly looking for that validation outside of yourself. Okay, you're constantly seeking out validation, or I have a lot of people who will come to me for card readings because they don't trust themselves, right? They'll constantly be coming to me, which is, it's not something that um, I'm not upset about it, right? But at the same time, it kind of hurts me that they don't have that self-trust, right? Where I'm like, this is something that you need to answer, right? I can tap in for you on your behalf, which is all I'm doing, right? I'm just listening to your higher self, right? Because you don't trust yourself to do it, okay? And those are people who are going to seek out card readings or some kind of reading like that, like on a regular basis. Like they're constantly looking up pick a cards on YouTube or seeking out card readers such as myself on a regular basis because they don't trust themselves with the answer. Okay, so my thing is really about lifting up that confidence, building up that confidence, that self-trust, and knowing that you can be trusted. Okay, and so that's really the muscle that we're trying to build here, is not just in the being aware, because that's part of it, being aware of where that answer is going to come from. Okay, listening to that answer and being able to trust that answer. That's why I say, like, when we have these tools, right? So when we have these tools, like the pendulum, okay, that's not something that I personally recommend doing like on the regular. This is just every once in a while, I'll pull that out just to be like, I'm kind of feeling like my ego is in the way. I'm not sure, right? And so then I'll pull out the pendulum to help to assist me in that. Okay, but that's not something that I would recommend doing on the regular. Same with cards, right? Any tool like that. Okay, I don't. Yeah, no, I'll leave it. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, right, with body cues, I just want to mention really quickly too before we move on. Some body cues will be like physical discomfort in your body as well. That's kind of letting you know where energy is stuck, or if there's like a cord between you and someone else. Okay, so if you're like, hey, truth, is this the cord? It might say yes, and it's right here, right? And it'll let you know, yes, there's, like, with a physical discomfort, right? And not necessarily painful, just like oh, there you are, right? So just to let you know, that may also be, instead of, you might not even hear yes, but you might get just like oh yeah, there it is, a discomfort, or maybe along your back or something. I know this isn't a paranormal thing, but I'll mention really quickly as we're talking about it that you can also, when you have a attachment, a spirit, or even worse, a demonic attachment, you're going to feel it typically along your spine. It'll be on your back, but more often than not, they attach to your spine. So you might, if you're truth testing, you might be like, I've been feeling really like my low back has been killing me lately, and I can't think of a reason why, right? So you may say, hey, truth, do I have a spirit attachment? No. Do I have a demonic attachment? Yes. Okay. And you'll feel it like in your body, right? You might get a yes, or you might just get a pain in along your spine. Okay. Just as an aside though, just as part of the truth testing. Okay. Okay. What else? Right. Okay, so I mentioned this in the psychic psychic development live that I did, but it feeds into this perfectly. And I think I even mentioned uh, truth testing in that class, maybe. Okay, so going back to resonance field, okay, and understanding psychic attack and how empathy plays into this. Okay, so the number one thing for me that I truth test, I mean, you want to truth test, like I said, anything and everything, especially when you're first learning how to do this and building this muscle. But really, I would say doing it on the regular, just to be like, just because the mainstream or whatever says, hey, this, this is what you do and why, right? Hey, body, or hey, truth, is that right for me? Right? Instead of just going into it. And it's something you might actually have to repeat too. So something that's right for me today, my body might say not tomorrow, right? So, hey, body, what do you need right now? An apple? Okay. Tomorrow, it might be like, not apples, not today, right? Or, what have you, okay? Or something a little more uh, impact. So say something like there's a bit of a kerfuffle, if you will, around the whole Rona shot, right? So for some people, they're like, nope, I'm sticking to this. The government or whatever is not going to put chemicals in my body, whatever, right? And that's just where they're at. Or the other way, where they're just like, well, the government says, so I gotta, right? If I want to get this job, or if I don't want to die, right? Because they scare you, right? So you got to do this. So you can truth test it, okay? Hey, body, do you need a shot? Or, do you need the Pfizer shot? No? Okay. And then maybe you track it, or you could just take the yes, no. Okay. And then so today it's no. But then you might go tomorrow and be like, hey, truth, or hey, body, do you need the Moderna shot? Yes. Okay. Right. So just like as an example. Okay. Um, Again, own sovereignty, not pushing anything, get the shot, don't get the shot, just truth test it, right? Okay. So we're going back into this resonance field. Okay, so in case you didn't catch the psychic development live class, the resonance field is when something either feels true for you, or you, how do I say it? You agree with it on some level. Okay, how do I say that? I don't know if agreeing is the right word I want to say, but it resonates with you, right? That resonance field. Okay, so, and what I mean is, this is what I want to say. When you have a resonance field with something else, you're aligning to it. That's what it is. It's an alignment. Okay, not an agreement. I knew that word wasn't right. You're aligning to it. Okay. So a resonance field might be something like where you're like, oh yeah, no, I totally, I believe that. So it's something that you do agree on. Okay. So I might say something like, dogs are awesome. And you might go, yes, they are, right? There's a resonance field there. You're like, yep, I agree with that. Without even truth testing it, you'll just be like, yep, dogs are awesome, right? Just because. Okay. Or you might say something, or maybe, you don't like dogs. And you're like, nope. And you'll be like, no, I don't resonate with that. I don't feel that, right? Another one is a form of psychic attack. Okay. But you can still align to it. Okay. So, for example, I don't know why. Well, I know why, but just go with me on this one. So the last few days, I've been really crunchy. I've been just really like, full disclosure, TMI, PMSing. Okay. And I've been really crunchy, and just like every little thing right now is just kind of setting me off. Okay. But I've noticed the people around me are resonating with this. Okay. So my sister, and I live with my sister and my brother-in-law, and I've noticed that they're also being a little crunchy and sensitive and just being triggered a little too easy, right? And I'm like, they're resonating off of me right now, right? And it could be, and in other cases, it's vice versa, right? So I've had an example is, I felt someone else's resentment in my energy field, and I took it out on the person that the other person had resentment towards. Okay, I didn't have resentment towards that person, but because I was picking up, because I aligned, I have resentment in my energy field, not necessarily towards that person, but in general, I have that energy in me right now, or at that time. At that time, I had resentment energy in my field that might have had nothing to do with that person, but because it was there, it aligned with someone else's resentment towards another person that I did not have resentment towards, but I felt it and I had to truth test it. I caught it almost immediately because I was like, well, that's weird. Like I kind of went at this person and I went, well, that's weird. Why did I do that? Right? I'm not mad at them. So I went, hey, truth, is this resentment even mine? And it said no. And so that's the big one. I'm already getting chills just as I mentioned this. Okay. That's my number one. If you truth test nothing else, okay. I mean, I'm saying truth test everything from everybody. You can truth test this, right? You don't have to believe what I'm saying. Okay. You do you trust you. Okay. Truth test anything I say. Okay. So anyways, so that's the main thing that I wanted to come to you with on this particular topic. Okay. Is truth. Is this even mine? Okay. This was the big one for me, and I use it all the time because we're constantly, and goes back to what I mentioned earlier about empathy and that resonance field. Okay. So sometimes you're going to pick up on someone else's stuff through an alignment at that resonance field. Is it normal for higher self to be long-winded and detailed? Typically, it's going to be a quick yes or no, depending on the answer, because then you track and then you can go. And then that's where the answers really kind of, like if you start to dig in, right? So they're not typically, in my experience, again, in my experience, truth test everything, even what I say. Okay. So if what I'm saying doesn't feel true, you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. No hurt feelings on my part. Okay. From my experience and from the experience I've had with clients, it's typically a very quick answer. So it's yes or no, mother, father, brother, sister. And then you can track from there to be like, okay, so is this a chord? Yes. Is it a chord to my brother? Yes. Okay. And then you track, okay, so am I learning a lesson? It depends on what the chord is, okay, and all that. So am I learning a lesson here? Yes. Or no. Do I need to let this go? Yes or no, right? And then you kind of go through, and it can even go back into your akashics, right? So is this chord with my brother, from a past life? Yes. Okay, now let's start digging in, right? What is the point of origin here? So what year, maybe, right? You might get a year. So you might get, 1922, or it might go further back, right? You might go to 1201, like, and going back, and then you can clear. And then from there, it'd be like, okay, so is this something that needs to be cleared? Like I've had it since 1922, or no, let's go back further. I've had this since, 1455. This chord is with my brother I've had since 1455. Is this something I need to clear? Yes or no. Okay. And then depending on the answer, you can continue. Now, if you find that, because I know I do, I know I still do. There are times when you're tracking, sometimes you kind of get stuck for questions, right? And so if you'd like, you can always come to the Facebook group and ask and see if anybody has not a better question, but like an additional something to help get you moving, right? Another question to ask, because I've had that too, where I'm tracking something and I'm like, I don't know what the next right question is, right? To keep this going and really digging in. So I'll go to Caitlin Dianna's Facebook group that's for members strictly, like that's paying members. and I'll go to that group because that's where I learned truth testing is from, Caitlin Dianna, right? So I'll go to her group and ask, be like, I'm tracking this. Does anybody have, you know, and again, not a better question, but a next right question that, might work for me. Okay. But yeah, to answer the question, typically, in my experience, the answers are pretty quick. Okay. They're not typically long winded. Usually, and again, truth test everything. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. But typically, when you have something that's a little more long winded, we're adding, even if it's like we're not doing it on purpose, right? This is just an ego thing. We'll add story, okay? Or we'll add to it. So that's really where things start to get long winded, is when the ego gets involved, okay? And that's when you're not in your higher self, right? That's in the ego, okay? In my experience. Okay, so what else was there? Right, so we're talking about resonance field and empathy. So you have the resonance field. So sometimes you just, even if you're just, like me, I had no idea I had resentment in my energy field from something. Don't know where it came from, right? So let's say I didn't, but maybe my empathy was up, right? So it's sort of that same, along the same fields as the resonant field. That's along the same lines, rather, where if you're somebody who identifies as strongly empathic, you're going to pick up on everyone else's crap, okay? Or sometimes it's even their, if they're really happy or excited, you might get really happy and excited too. Or somebody's crying and you're heavily empathetic, you might start crying too. You might not even know why they're crying, you're just crying, right? And so you're picking up all of that energy, okay? And so you might also ask that question. So you might find that you're crying and you don't know why, right? Hey, truth, is this even mine? No. Okay. Or yes, which means, okay, so we're okay. Yes, it is mine. Okay, so hey, truth, am I feeling a little hormonal right now? No? Okay. Or is it, hey, truth, is this hormones, right? No. Okay. Hey, truth, is this an inner child trigger? Yes. Okay. Hey, truth, am I going through healing right now? Am I healing something in that inner child? Yes. Okay. And then track. Okay. So what could that be? Right? Hey, truth. And then typically you won't get, hey, truth, what is it? Typically, again, don't take my word for it. Give it a try. Typically it's something like a yes or a no, or, you'll get the word, ancestral or mother line or something like that. Okay. But yeah, so with empathy though, if you're a strong empath and you're picking up on other people's stuff, okay, you really, really want to be able to build up this muscle of truth testing. Hey, truth, is this even mine? Okay. Okay. So the next thing is, if you're picking up, so in the example I gave where I was picking up on someone else's resentment, it wasn't even mine, right? If you get something like that where you're like, hey, truth, is this resentment even mine? No? Okay. No need to track. Return to sender with consciousness attached. Send that energy back. Okay. So I mentioned this, I believe, in the psychic development. Maybe not. Okay. So that's how I send that energy back to kind of protect myself, right? Get that energy out of get that yuck. Okay. Because resentment is yuck. Okay. That's not a nice feeling. Okay. That's not I was going to say a high vibe feeling, but that kind of makes me sound douchey. But what I mean by that is that an energy like resentment is really heavy and it's going to bring you down. It's going to make you feel like crap. Okay. Whereas if you have something like uh, excitement or joy, it naturally, like you even see when I'm saying it, and I'm saying excitement or joy, I'm going up, right? And when I'm talking about resentment, I'm going down. So that's that physical cue, right? So there's that, you can use that as well. Instead of the back and forth, are you going up or are you going down? right? So that's what I mean by like high vibe or low vibe. Literally, you're going up or you're going down. Okay. And so if you find that you're going down, okay, because I mean, I don't, I don't know about you, but if I'm feeling someone else's high vibe, right? If somebody else is excited and it's getting me excited, I don't really want to get rid of that. I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm kind of cool with that being in my field. I'm kind of fine with that, right? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. You don't want to take someone else's, high vibe. You don't want to be an energy vampire. Okay, we're not doing energy vampire stuff here, right? If they're just giving that stuff out because they're just excited or feeling joy or bliss and they just want you to be a part of it, great. But don't take it, right? We're not energy vampires here. We're not making them feel bad. We're not making them feel low, because that's what happens, right? With energy vampires. They're all excited, and then an energy vampire will come along and go, and they'll go, oh no, right? And then they'll kind of go, oh. And then you'll find, and you'll notice this, just as a quick aside, you'll notice if you're around an energy vampire or if you were being an energy vampire, okay, if you're looking at the other person and you notice that their energy is going down, 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 right? If you notice that they went from to right, that's how you know that you are either being an energy vampire when you're watching somebody else and you're getting more and more and more, and they're going down, 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 down. Okay, you're energy vampiring. Stop it. Not cool. Okay, but that's also how you can tell if someone else is being an energy vampire to you. Okay, so if you're like, oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling, and you don't have to be like, woohoo, right? You could just be in a good mood that day, right? You're just in a good mood. Things are going good. And then an energy vampire comes along and you're just like, oh, why am I so tired? Oh, I don't want to do anything. Oh, doing stuff sucks, right? Like, and you're just like, whereas like, 5 minutes ago, you were like, let's not do stuff. Let's go out. Let's do something. Right. And then you come across an energy vampire and you're like, oh, I don't want to go out. I don't want to I have to do my hair. I have to get in the shower to do my hair. I have to do my makeup. Right. Or whatever. Right. And you're just like, whereas 5 minutes ago, you're excited to do it. Okay. So that's how you know. Okay. So see, when I get all excited, I just go off. So that's why I have notes to try and keep me on track. Okay, that's what I was saying. So return to sender. So if you notice that someone else's energy, okay, so in my example that I was giving before I went off was resentment. So if you have if you notice that you have these low vibe, okay, type of energy in your field and you've truth tested it and it's not yours, you send that back, right? Get it out of my field. Okay. So that's how I do it, is that return to sender. Okay. And I typically will do like that swish with a snap, return to sender with consciousness attached. Okay. Give it back. That's not mine. Because when you do that, when you don't know that you're doing that specifically, or you could even choose to just keep it. I don't know why you would, but it's a choice that you'll notice. And I think that's what it was. That's what I was thinking about before was I'm currently working on the Akashic Records course for Udemy. That's where this other stuff is coming from. Okay. So you'll notice though that it starts to kind of weigh you down, right? Other people's crap and then your crap, because we all have crap. Okay. Let's be real. We all have our own crap. Like I said, I'm feeling crunchy lately. Just is what it is. It's hormonal or whatever, right? I try to, not feed it. Okay, that's another one. I'll just put that out there too. And I think I mentioned in another class too, that when we're accepting of just what is, okay. So in this case, hey, truth, and is this even mine? This crunchy feeling. Is this crunchy feeling even mine? Yes. Okay. Is it hormonal? Yes. Okay. Acceptance. It's hormonal. Maybe there's something else I can do about it. I don't know how to do hormone things. Okay. But so say it's something you're just kind of accepting, right? You're just like, yep, okay, it's mine. It's hormonal. It'll pass. In the meantime, you don't have to be a dick just because you're feeling crunchy, right? So you don't have to feed it. I call this feeding the bear. Okay. You don't have to feed it. So you don't have to be like, I'm feeling crunchy. Everything sucks. I don't want to do this. Nah, nah, nah. right? You don't have to do that. That's ego. You don't have to do that. That's not part of acceptance. That's just meh, right? It's just, yeah, I'm feeling crunchy right now. She is what she is. It'll pass. Okay. It also means so you're not being a dick to yourself, and you're not feeding that bear and being like, I feel crunchy. I have cramps. My boobs hurt. Right. You don't have to do that. Okay. And I did yesterday, no, the other day, some kids were setting off firecrackers in the backyard. I wanted to make them stop in a very violent way. Okay. But that's yeah. But anyways, I digress. She is what she is, right? So you can also not put it out to other people's, like I just said, I didn't yell at those kids. I was like, they're setting off not fireworks, firecrackers in the backyard. That's a shared backyard. Everything in me wanted to open up my window and be like, get off my lawn, stop it. I didn't. I was just like, that's bothersome, right? That is bothersome. I don't enjoy that. But I wasn't like psychically attacking them either. I mean, I did say, I wanted to make them stop violently, but I was just making a joke. That was PMS Liz. I call that PMS Liz. She can be kind of sassy, as Brittany mentioned earlier about her answers sounding sassy, right? So PMS Liz can be a little sassy. She can be a little crunchy. So she was not having it, but I wasn't like, oh, I wish bad things would happen to those children. I was just like, stop it. You need to stop it. Right. Then I'm not taking it on other people around me either. Yes, people are picking up on my resonance field, which is a bummer. And they're feeling a little crunchy because I'm feeling a little crunchy, and that sucks. But I'm not like taking it out on them either. I'm not being like, because I'm feeling crunchy, I need to, be like, why aren't you doing this? Or I wish you would stop doing this, or, whatever, just being like, you're a jerk, or whatever the psychic attack thing is, right? Or just being like, F off, or whatever, right? So you don't need to be a dick, but you also don't need to feed the bear. That's just acceptance sometimes. Just, it is what it is. And I find typically when you just accept what is, that it integrates pretty quick, and then it just lets go, right? When you just accept it, it'll integrate and let go. Okay. In this case, it's hormones, and I don't know how to balance that on my own. So I just accept she is what she is, and it'll pass when she passes, right? Okay. What else we have here? Okay, so let's see. I don't know. I mean, we're coming to that hour, which is awesome because when I start getting chatty, I go over. Is there anything? Do you have any questions or comments? Anything you'd like to share? Otherwise, I'll pick a card and we'll wrap it up.
No, I think that everything that you said was really on point because I just started like meditating and stuff with my new candle, which is the road opener
Awesome.
candle.
Mm-hmm.
And I did self love about 2 weeks ago or something, like a little bit over 2 weeks ago, and I just started the road opener. And so everything that you said really flows. So like a lot of things I had long questions about, and like the situation and like the area I was going or the direction I'm going, and people to cut off. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
asked it if it was long winded, because some of the stuff I was like, is this myself? Because some of it's like, yeah, it kind of sounds like me, but at the same time, it sounds like a harsh me that's like, oh, you already know better. Why are you even asking these questions? I was like, whoa, is that me? Is that my higher self? Because if that's my higher self, I want to cry right now. You
Yeah,
know,
no, yeah, I will say again, truth test it, listen to your own, inner guidance. It sounds to me like that's ego, right? Because the higher self is never mean, right? That's not what that's there for. The higher self is there for um, guidance, and they're not going to give it to you in like a mean kind of way, right? They tend to be a little more nurturing, a little more gentle. I mean, you will get the yes or no, but it's not going to be like yes or no, right? It's going to be like yes or no, right? Like
it
it's going to be
was
a little more. kind is the word I was looking for. The higher self is going to come across more as kind. When it's something sassy like duh, right? That's going to be ego. Okay,
Okay.
typically. Yeah.
Okay. Because I wanted to differentiate the two. Because even though
Mm-hmm.
the answer was something, it was more so I kind of knew, but it was
Mm-hmm.
like, look, you got to cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't good for you, and it's going to take you away from this. It's
Yeah.
more like I knew the answer, but I didn't want to hear it. So I was about to start crying. So I was like, I don't want to hear this answer.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. But yeah, typically when you're getting guidance from, let's call it a higher source, so your higher self or a guide or an angel or what have you, they're going to answer it with kindness. That's kind of like their, at least in my experience, again, truth test everything, you know, inner knowing, inner guidance, listen to yourself, right? In my experience, they will come with kindness, and a loving, gentle energy. Unless it's Kali, and then she's gonna tear your stuff down. Kali is not gentle. She's not cruel. I will say, Kali is not cruel in the sense of like where she's gonna be like to you, right? She's not gonna be like a bitch to you, but she's going to anything that's like an obstacle. She's just
Mm-hmm.
gonna tear that shit down, and it's gonna hurt because she is violent about it. Um, that energy, just to be clear, that I'm not talking necessarily about the goddess. When I talk about like Shakti or Kali or anything like that, like if I'm naming a god or a goddess, I'm speaking towards the energy rather than like a being, just to be clear. But Kali is
Okay.
she's not gentle.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Did you have anything else?
That was it. That's why I
Okay.
said everything was right on point today. Because I was
Okay.
like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I said before too, this is a muscle you'll build. So also be kind to yourself as you're learning this. So even so if you're truth testing something and you find that it's being a little more sassy than you would expect your higher self to be, and you're like, that might be ego, which I would truth test. But also if you find, yeah, okay, I truth tested this and yes, it is my ego, just be kind with yourself. I'm learning, I'm building a muscle. That's okay, right? Just is. It just is. And this is going to help you too in building that self trust. Okay. Because this will, I mean, we'll just touch on it just for a quick second, that this also ties into shadow work. And um, so that's integrating the things that you've rejected about yourself. Okay. That's going to tie into it. So that can be a massive healing thing as well. Uh, but it's also, shadow work is also about healing that inner child. And that is about building trust with that inner child. Because, like I had mentioned earlier, um, we have all of this outside programming that just layers on us. And I go through it in the Records course I'm creating. But just to mention it here, because I think it's important, that we have all of this outside influence just on us, right? And telling us that, you know, our little child brains are wrong and we shouldn't listen to our inner knowing or our own guidance or what our body is telling us, okay? Because you have the picky eaters, right? Or maybe they're just listening to their body, right? So maybe their body is saying, this week all I want is french fries, right? They're maybe they need something out of some kind of protein or vitamin or nutrients out of the french fries, I don't know. Or maybe they need like the sodium, I don't know, right? Just as an example. So they're just like, well, all my kid eats lately are french fries. That's because they're listening to their body, right? Trying to force them to eat their vegetables, maybe not what's right for their body right now, right? So trying to force your own values and beliefs and all that onto the child or had that done to you, okay, that breaks down both the that solar plexus chakra, but it can also affect that third eye because this is your inner knowing, your inner guidance, right? That's where that comes from. So when you're told, you can't trust this or you can't trust this, your gut, right? I know better, I'm the adult, right? it's crushing. Okay. It brings that down and it lowers your sense of worth and value and self-trust, and that inner knowing. Okay. And it just slows all that down. Okay. It makes it, and because I know I'm going to go off on the chakras just for a quick sec, but they're all connected, right? They are not separate things. They're all connected. So when one's affected, the entire system is going to be affected to some degree. Okay. So might have, uh, because of all of this outside programming stuff just put on you. Okay, so maybe that slows down your solar plexus chakra and your third eye, but it's also going to affect your throat chakra. Okay, so you can't feel like you can express your truth. Okay, or so that might slow this down or cause an imbalance, because you want to yell, this is what I want, or this is what I need. Specifically, this is what I need, but you're being told your needs are wrong. So then you're going to have an imbalance here, right? And same with your sacral chakra, right? So in regards to maybe the third eye, right? Because it's all connected. So if you're told, uh, being creative is a waste of time, or not to trust your imagination, or, because sometimes, maybe you're a medium and you're seeing spirits and someone's like, that's not real. Ghosts aren't real, or that's just an imaginary friend. Now that's going to affect your solar or your sacral chakra and affect your ability to be creative. Okay. Same with the throat chakra. It's going to have the same thing. Okay. You're going to have a lot of gunk in your root chakra as well, because now your foundation is all blah, right? You can't trust. So your foundation is just right. And that's where Kali might come in and just tear your stuff down so you can build it back up, and build that trust. Okay. I know I've gone off now. I knew it. See, I've gone over the hour a little bit, but I get so excited and passionate about this stuff. And so then I just go over, which is why I try to stick to my notes, but here we are. Okay. So like I said, truth testing, my main want for you is that you truth test and track everything. Okay. Really, really try to tap into your own inner knowing. Okay. Listen to your own higher self. Okay. Rather than taking what everyone is trying to sell you, buying what everyone else is trying to sell you, and really only use tools when you are getting an inconclusive answer for yourself. Your ego is in the way and you just don't know how to get it out of the way. Or on the occasion, again, when it's ego based. I really want to reiterate that. Anytime the ego is getting in the way, that's when I would suggest using tools, either for the yes or no or for confirmation if the ego is getting in the way. And like I said, ego, the ego is in the way when it's either being unkind or sassy or long-winded. Okay, when you're getting like a longer answer than just like a quick yes or no, or father line, mother line, ancestral, aunt, uncle, what have you. Okay, like they're usually pretty quick. Or again, it could just be a feeling that you get, either a physical, or you're going back or forth, up or down, right? So only really use tools when the ego is in the way and you're not sure how to get it out of the way, right? You might say something like, hey, ego, can you step aside? Or ego, step aside, right? But if you find that that's a muscle you need to build over time, then I would use tools. Okay, so what else was that? I think that was it. So yeah, my reiteration here is just, I really want you to be able to tap into your own sovereignty, right? I want you to have that sovereignty. I want you to feel confident and empowered and trusting yourself. Okay, this might include also doing that shadow work, right, through this truth testing, to be able to integrate the things that you rejected about yourself previously, and to build trust, to heal and build trust with that inner child. Okay, it's a whole lot, but that's why truth testing for me was so huge to learn. And I'm still building this muscle. This is not something where you just like, you truth test, everything for, a few days and boom, you got it, right? This is like lifelong, right? Anything that's like, personal development or any of that jazz, healing any kind of healing is lifelong. There is no there. Okay. It just gets less difficult. That's how I like to describe it. When you're doing this healing type of work, it just gets less difficult. Okay. So yeah, we really want to learn how to tap into that own intuition, and clear out. So I'm going to do clearing statements in the next class. Okay. So that's going to be a part of it too, just so you know that when you're like, okay, but okay, so I have all of this programming and all this other stuff. How do I get rid of it? Or how do I clear it or whatever? Okay. Some of it can be an easy return to sender with consciousness attached. But because most of it is going to be early childhood, deep embedded programming, you're going to need more than that. Okay. But again, truth test everything. Okay. So we're going to finish up the quick, see if there's anything. I'm going to do a quick one card, see if there's anything we need any kind of guidance or any kind of confirmation, anything we need to know, just real quick before we wrap it up. Okay. There might be even something they need me to add that I just didn't even think of. Let's see. Oh, you guys. I'm so creeped out right now. You can't even make this up. You heard me shuffle. You didn't really see it, but you heard me shuffle. Okay. Trust. Oh, I'm, oh, trust. Okay, let me read the thing. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. You can't even make this up. Oh my gosh. How crazy is that? That is crazy. So I'll just say it one more time just before we wrap up. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. That's wild. Wild. I mean, what a note to end on. So I think that's perfect. I think that is a perfect wrap up. That was crazy. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the group. Okay. And I will hopefully see you in the next class. Bye.